Hi, I'm Yegi. I'm an entrepreneur and success coach who wants it all. Family, luxury, career, and the freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And I'll do whatever it takes to get there. I created the Yegi project to document my journey and inspire others to do the same. My mission is to change the world by influencing and leading others to do what they love and live fulfilled lives. Hello. Welcome back to the Yegi project. So I am Yegi, your host. For those of you that are new to the podcast, welcome. I'm excited to have you guys be part of the community. We do try to release an episode every week unless, I'm on vacation or I end up going in labor. We'll keep communicating with you guys. For those of you that are new to the podcast, welcome to our community. I'm excited to connect and see how we can basically live this project on and live our best lives. My goal and mission is for all of us to work towards living better, happier lives. If it's in our career, in our personal lives, in our lives with our significant others or our children or our friends. So just overall increasing the happiness and really living in our best state. Okay. So I know that's my calling and that's why I work on these Yegi project episodes. And that's what I've been doing with my own life, right? None of us are experts in one single thing. And I think that's what sometimes holds us back. And that's why I wanted to do this podcast as a project. So while I'm working on myself to elevate my life, I want to share and inspire you guys to do the same. So I also want to ask for your help. If you guys can please subscribe and follow the YouTube channel and also Apple Podcasts or anywhere you get your podcasts, and also the Yegi Project TikTok is where I'm going to try to be personally active to kind of let you guys in on the behind the scenes. So today's episode, I had gotten asked the question is, what are you doing to prepare for baby number 3? So I'm getting pretty close to delivering, or probably going in labor and delivering my 3rd baby. And to be honest, I haven't done much to prepare for this baby, physically, material wise, I want to say set up a room or anything else. But mentally, I feel like I've been doing work for months and months to be at a really good place for when the new baby comes. So initially when I had my first baby, I was in a really good place mentally. I feel like I was on my top gear with living abundantly, enjoying life, focusing on business. I had a really good balance before becoming a parent and after becoming a parent. So it was easier to go through that transition. But with my 2nd baby, I kind of got caught off guard because they were very close in age. So they're only a year and a half apart. And that was really difficult for me to kind of handle with the sleepless nights. And we didn't have extra help. So at nights and at home, it was just my husband and I. And we were still, trying to run the business, trying to be good parents, be present, and do all that stuff. But it did take a really big toll on us. After a while trying to figure out how to balance everything, I ended up hiring a nanny. And it's been a much better balance to be able to have a personal life, a social life, and also be able to focus on my goals and dreams and my business. But now with the 3rd baby coming, I was kind of afraid because it took a lot of work for me to mentally get to a really good place after the 2nd baby. As far as I want to say mentality. If you follow the podcast, you'll know what I mean. I've kind of been keeping everybody posted with my project to get to my optimal state. But the goal for me was to get back to a state where I feel 100% in love with life and the world and abundance, right? That sounds kind of cheesy and too good to be true, but it's really a state of being and state of mentality and state of living. And we can choose to be in that space if we really work hard at it and we consciously are aware to live that way. Now, this doesn't mean my life is perfect right now. There's always going to be issues. There's always going to be problems that need solving or things that need attention or sad things that need, cheering up to do. But long story short, no matter how bad things get, my goal was to get to a place where I can still be grateful. I could still be living in abundance. I can still feel super happy for all the good things in my life. And it's easier said than done, but with practice and, like I said, awareness, we can all get there. And I had been there before having kids, so I knew I had to do a lot of work to get back to there with kids, because now, you know, it's a different mix. I don't have as much time to myself to work on myself. So that's kind of where I was at to work on it. And one big thing that I had to introduce to my life was meditation. And I had never been able to meditate before. I would just listen to some guided meditations on YouTube, honestly, like a morning meditation, like a 10-minute thing, but never really fully had gotten into it. Instead, my outlet was always working out, being like physically active to get to like my happy place. But since this pregnancy, again, when I'm pregnant, I'm kind of at a high risk and I'm not allowed to really work out. So since that was not an option, I had the calling to seek another tool, and that's when meditation came in. So I read some books, I went to some like seminars to learn more about it, to practice it, and it really has had a positive impact on my life. It did get me to like a really good place again. I think just the mere fact of knowing that we are in control, and happiness is like a choice to live that way, to live joyfully, to see the beauty in the world, no matter what madness is going on in your life or in the world. It's a really beautiful place to be in. So that's what I've been really working on to get back to that place. And throughout the podcast, like episodes, I share, like, this is the project. I share exactly the books I've been reading, the things I've been doing, the vacation I took to get me to this optimal state. So I feel like I'm finally there again. So mentally, I'm ready to like add on a new challenge to my life, which is this baby number 3, right? Having that balance. Something in me is like really peaceful and calm. And I think that comes maybe with the meditation. I don't want to give it 100% credit, but again, I think it's just a state of being in our mentality of how we look at life. And that's what I want to inspire and influence my listeners to do, to be able to get there, because it's so much more beautiful and loving and like positive to live this way. Anyways, so I'm in a really good place. I worked really hard for, I want to say like over a year since my second kid was born, and she's like gonna be 2 in February. So it took over a year for me to again work on myself, do things to get to this state. And I hope that if anybody is not living in that joyous state, they also work on themselves to get there, because life and everything is just so much better in that state. Anyway, so mentally, I feel like I did all of that to prepare for the baby. Physically stuff, and I think to actually like prepare the room, and I think I haven't done much in the past. Like, it's sad, but it's very true. With the first baby, you do everything perfect by the book, and they get so much preparation, so much attention, because it's the first. The second one, still they do get a lot, but definitely not as much as the first, because like, I've done this once, I can do it again. For us, we knew the sex of the first 2 babies. So the first one was a boy, so we bought all the boy stuff. And then the second one was a girl. So again, we did more preparation, we did her room more girly and all that stuff. So again, a lot of preparation went into it. A lot of buying girly things went into it. And then the third one, we decided to have it be a surprise, right? It's kind of keeping life exciting. I think as much as we can, I like to have, I won't take the credit for this though. This was initially my husband's idea. He didn't want to know the sex of our second baby. He wanted it to be surprised. I was like, oh no, that is not happening. Like, I need to know this is my girl, because I already had a boy and I really wanted a girl. It's just, as a mom, like I wanted to also be a girl mom. I said, if we have the third, or when we have the third, then fine, we can give it let it be a surprise. So I had to be the woman of my word. So that's why this third baby is going to be a surprise. We want to do the reveal when the baby's like born and see if it's a boy or it's a girl. So that's again one way to keep life exciting, have something to have extra to look forward to with the baby. But with that said too, we're supposed to also prepare with girl names and boy names that we may consider. We still haven't done that. I'm almost 34 weeks pregnant, so with my history I usually give birth like 37 weeks, so we're getting really close. I hope I go a little further with this pregnancy, but anyways, we haven't done anything like that to prepare. And I think it's sad, but it is because it's a third baby and we're so comfortable. We have everything for like boys and a girl baby. So whatever happens, we already have everything. I kept the clothes. We have all the essentials. And I think part of living in this mentality like thing that I was talking about being just more fearless, being more calm, and like everything's going to work out, and just that really positive outlook on life has also made me feel really calm about this baby. So I'm like, oh, it's gonna be fine. And I remember being like this, like 8 years ago initially when I started my business, and I love being in this headspace, and I want everybody to be in this headspace, because I feel like sometimes when we just kind of let go and not overthink and overstress about things, it really does work out so much better. And I've learned that in life. Even with kids, I was always so scared, honestly, that I'm gonna have sleepless nights. So I put in so much effort to do everything so right with sleep training, with everything. And I'm telling you, like, I've done research, I read books, like I did everything right by the book with this, but I think I put so much energy towards like making sure that they are good sleepers. We've had a really hard time with it. And then once I kind of let that go, it's been so much better. I don't know, some things in life or world is still very mysterious. I don't know why it works that way, but I've really noticed that anytime we put too much attention on something that we don't want, that's what happens. So what I've learned is try not to overthink things and only put that attention on the things that you do want. So for me, I guess if I were to look back at the sleep example, instead of saying, I'm going to work so hard so the kids don't, wake me up, I get good sleep, I would rather focus on, I don't know, I think the right way to focus on it would be, I'm going to get good sleep, instead of, I hope I train them so I do get good sleep. I don't know if I said that right. I don't know. But basically we have to put it in the positive form if we're focusing on something, instead of the negative form. So even with kids, parenting, I realize instead of telling the kids, no, you can't do this, we're supposed to say, let's try this. So you want to tell them the thing that they can do versus the thing that they cannot do, and it works a lot better. But this actually reminds me, this weekend I'm working again. I'm teaching a class. Those of you that again don't know me too well, I own an eyelash extension business, so that's kind of where the money comes in, and this project is super fun to just share everybody and try to encourage everybody to live their best lives. But so this weekend I'll be teaching an eyelash extension course, and we're out of Burbank, California. So if any of you are getting in the beauty industry, look us up in that space, and that's all under Yegi Beauty. Quick ad for that. So I was saying I really need to physically prepare for the baby, but main thing is, get the hospital bag ready. And again, the first kid's hospital bag was more like a suitcase vacation for like a week. The second one was a weekend getaway, big suitcase. This one is literally going to be a small size backpack, just a change of clothes for me, one outfit for the kid to come home comfortably in the car seat. You really don't need much. And I think in life too, that has been something that I've learned, is we really don't need too much to be happy and healthy and all that stuff. It's nice having the nice things if you really want it and it's going to cause pleasure and joy. But the reality of it is we really don't need much. And having a lot really really doesn't translate to being happy. So that's one thing I knew a long time ago, and it's the message I keep preaching. And it's the examples of like celebrities and multimillionaires, billionaires we see that are very unhappy to a point where they commit suicide. So really, money and success and all of that never like financially or physical items never translate to like actual happiness and joy. And I think that was a big thing that I realized a long time ago, where I put all my energy into focusing on kind of figuring out, okay, so what is this life about? Like, how do we like have that balance of a really happy life? Like, we want to be rich not only with money, we want to be rich with our lifestyle. And that's what I've worked really hard to like learn and accomplish and continuously learning about. And that's what I want to share with you guys. I think just merely just understanding and having that awareness that money or material things doesn't necessarily mean happiness will already have people kind of take a breath and look at their life with a different lens and be able to be happy currently at the moment, no matter what we have or we don't have. The key thing that I always say is we need to find a way to love and be happy with the life that we currently have, so we can attract more love and happiness and abundance and materialistic things, money, whatever else we want. We can always try to work towards that, but it's really, really important. Our first step, our first goal is to be able to love, like genuinely be happy and love with where we're at right now, even if it's not the most optimal, ideal place. So since this episode is about baby number 3 and preparing for that new storm that's gonna enter my household, and again, I'm also a big believer, and I recently got reminded that be careful with what we say, right? I don't want to say storm, because then this baby's gonna be born and it's gonna be a storm. I'm gonna keep saying, okay, it's gonna be fine, right? Nothing much is gonna change. Obviously, we're gonna have a new family member, and it is gonna be some sleepless nights, but I want to also focus on how smooth things are gonna go. So I keep telling myself, I'm like, it's like the mind over matter thing too, but I keep telling myself, I feel like this baby's gonna be easy. You know, we kind of have a system. As you become a parent, very hard at first, no matter how prepared you think you are. I think I was super prepared by the book, but physically it was still really hard. But I think I had an easier time than some of my friends when they became first-time mothers, okay? And I think a big part of that was I did try to learn more about it, read more books, ask around, kind of like mentally had a plan in place for different situations, like how I wanted to discipline, how I wanted to do like our daily routines. Of course, nothing really goes exactly as planned, but the more you prepare, I feel like the easier time you'll have. And just comparing to my really close friends, I think it really helped. And some of the things I did to prepare when I was becoming a first-time mom was that the first book I read, actually, it started in my pregnancy. It's a pretty thick book, but it's called What to Expect When You're Expecting. And it's a really, it's a popular book because it really is good. And they have an app you can follow, and it's like mini snippets of the book that you still learn a lot about your pregnancy, how the baby's developing. The following book to that is What to Expect, like the first year of the baby and then the second year of the baby. And that was almost like my Bible, and they're like this thick books, and I would read along like each stage. So I would kind of almost get like a preview of what's to come, because like babies change from month to month with their development, with what you can do as a parent. And it's nice to kind of know what's normal and what's not normal. It was reassuring to like know more information, because you know, who do we have to look up to when we have kids in our generation? We have our parents or our grandparents or aunts and uncles, but every generation does things differently and things change. And honestly, my mom never really, like, it's not very common, I don't think, for parents to like sit down and teach you how to be a mom unless they're in the same household, maybe like helping you go through the day to day. And things are different. I don't want to raise my kids the way my mom raised us because things and times were different. So that book, it really like was a good guidance for me to learn more about it. And I literally like would sit down and read each stage, first month, second month, all the way until the second year of the kid. And then after that, I feel like it's not as frequent the changes. Of course, every age there is different ways you should talk to or discipline your kid. There's different things you could do. There's so many milestones. And I believe like if we actually put in our effort to try different things with different kids, our life gets easier. And I've been really big on trying to do like gentle parenting, they call it. I don't want to yell and be angry. I'm all for like living a happy life, and I love kids. Like kids come into the picture not to stress us out and not to make our lives miserable. We have kids because we want to be a parent and we want to be happy. They cause happiness ultimately. And sometimes we forget that. A lot of parents I talk to, and even me, like in stages, like I said, not with my first, but with my second, I realized like I was complaining so much. I was complaining about the sleepless nights, or I was complaining about my kid not eating properly. All these things that were on the more negative side, right? And it's easy to kind of fall into that space, especially when we're not getting good sleep. I'm gonna just really focus on that part of it for us, for parents, not to be so hard on themselves too. Because when we don't get enough sleep, our brain and our bodies, like, we don't work the same way. So don't be so hard on yourself. I would say once I realized that a lot of my core problems were because I wasn't getting enough sleep, because now I'm not thinking straight. I don't have as much patience to logically deal with whatever issues I'm having, in my family life. That's when it was like a big light bulb for me. It's like, okay, I gotta kind of find the core problem and get a better solution. And that's when I decided, I'm gonna figure out how I can afford a nanny, because if I don't do this, everything else is kind of going down the drain. I don't have time or energy to focus on my business. I'm making less money at my work. My husband and I are like angry at each other because, they're the person in front of you that you can blame and yell and like argue with when you're unhappy, and because they're the ones who are supposed to be there helping you, supporting you with your kids. And no matter how hands-on you both are, and my husband's super hands-on, super helpful. Like he even did most of the nights because I'm not a night person. But even with that things, there's tension between couples when things aren't going your way, because that's a person in front of you you can kind of vent out to when you're angry and you have no control over these little monkeys called our children and our babies. So long story short, that's when I had decided to come to kind of like sit down and think. And that's what I usually advise people to do in business as well. Like sit down and think about one thing that you can change or you can work on that will make the biggest difference in that scenario, right? So if it's business, if it's your relationship, if it's with kids, what's that one thing that is going to make the biggest difference? And I remember being on a nature walk. I love nature so much, by the way. And then it kind of hit me. I was like, oh my God. And it was me and my husband with one of the kids in the stroller. The other one was like with my mom. It was a weekend. We're just taking a stroll. I was like, oh my God, babe, we need a nanny. We just need more help. Why are we not getting more help? And of course, a lot of times, budgeting and all of that plays in hands too. But sometimes we gotta prioritize. To me now, looking back, even if I had zero money to afford a nanny or extra help, a babysitter, whatnot, I will definitely get a personal loan. Like it's temporary, at least when the kids are so young. And I think it's such a good investment to be at a better place. And sometimes as the average person, we don't think of these things as a option for us. We think of it as a luxury. Oh, only the very rich can afford having like all these people hired and helping them. But I've learned that's really not the reality of it. Like, we can try to think outside the box and create a life that we want, even if we're not like crazy rich, right? Or like considered rich at all. So anyways, again, going back to like mentality and finding out of the box solutions, that was like a big thing that helped me balance life, is getting more help. And now with the third baby, of course, they say it takes a village to raise kids, but I feel like with preparing with 1 and 2 and multiple and having the help, I've developed a system for our household, like how it works, like who does what. And I think just sitting down and figuring out like realistically how much you can handle and whose help you might need, if it's a friend, if it's a grandparent, if it's a nanny, if you don't have those options, really makes a huge difference. So I lost my train of thought. Okay, so to sum up, like I said, in anything that when we feel like we're really like having a hard time in life, figure out what the core issue is, or what that one thing is that you can change to have a significant difference. And for me, that's what it was getting a nanny so we can get more sleep and then figure everything else, right? Then we can work harder at work. We can be more pleasant to each other as a couple. We can be more happy with the kids and spend quality time. The only other advice or thing that I would want to share that I've learned along the way with parents and new parents is don't be so hard on yourself and ask for the help, right? Even with the third kid, even though I have the nanny now and both of my kids are pretty much in daycare now as well, so I feel like I have a lot of help, but I'm still already strategizing like, okay, mom, on one time a week, like you're on night shift, you know, you're gonna come like spend the night at my house so you can help with the new baby. Then I did the same with my mother-in-law. I feel very blessed to have like people around me that can help. But like I said, it's all about thinking outside of the box and really like asking for help. I don't know why sometimes we have such a hard time asking or accepting help. And I'll give an example of my friend. So she also has 2 young kids now that are almost, again, less than 2 years apart, like me with my first 2. So I kind of gave the same advice to her. I was like, look, I know like it's more costly, like it's all this extra stuff, but why don't you consider at least getting a babysitter like once a week, you know, just so you have one day to yourself that you can relax, go get your nails done or shopping or something to like decompress, and then the rest of the time you'll be a better parent. And she was like, oh, I don't know, like who am I gonna trust with my kids? Like initially that is a thing. Like I remember going through that. Like for me, I was like, oh, who am I gonna trust to be in my house all day with my kids? But we need to sometimes like get out of our ways. A lot of times I feel like we have these like wrong ideas and wrong beliefs that we block better options or better choices that we can make in life. Like some things in our head and then we get stuck with that, right? We're like, oh, who am I going to trust with my kid? Okay, when your kid goes to daycare or preschool or school, who the heck are you trusting your kids with? Like they're out in the world. Like sooner or later, we're going to have to let go, right? And again, it's harder when your kids are young. They can't talk and it's like a new thing, but we have to be realistic and look at all our options and sometimes get out of our way. And I've seen like when you know this and you start observing people and asking questions, that's when it kind of hits you. Oh my God, I may be doing this too. Sometimes I have like these beliefs and it's just like so strong and I don't consider any other option. So it's the same thing like in other episodes I've talked about like limiting beliefs. So one thing recently that I had noticed too for me was that, oh, I'm high risk pregnant, I can't work out, right? That was so strong in my head because of course my doctor said that like I should take it super easy, I can't work out. But it was so strong in there that I never even considered like different things I can do that could, you know, be kind of like a workout. If it's like very like easy stretches or like mini like movements that doesn't affect and put pressure on the baby. And I was able to do that and I was much happier, right? I was much happier once I was like, oh no, like I need to like think outside the box, look at my options. And then with my husband too, recently, actually, we were shopping for a new mattress and everything, and in his head he's put, oh, I don't like memory foam mattress. Like, he was just set in that way, but he's never fully like given it a try. Like, he's just stuck that way. And it's like we just put this blockage to not even consider the different options when we believe something. So I've realized that for me personally, anytime I have such a strong belief, even for me, I had another one for a long time. I would say, oh, I'm not a morning person. And I would just always say that. And because a lot of times I was never happy in the mornings because I was too tired from my day and I wanted to sleep in. I would sleep late. I would overpack my schedule. So I made a lot of mistakes to not like my mornings because I didn't prepare for it properly. So for a long time, I would say, I'm not a morning person. I'm not a morning person. But that was just a belief. Now I'm kind of forced to be a morning person because my kids wake up so early and I've gotten used to that. But I realized, like, when I made that conscious choice, hey, I could be a morning person. Like, I can be successful and have a smooth morning if I have a good routine, instead of dreading my mornings because my kid is waking me up at 6:30 a.m. I'm going to consciously choose to wake up at 6:30 a.m. and start my day. And since I think I took that limiting belief off of my head that, hey, I'm not a morning person, I gave it a chance to be able to have a better morning routine or have a better morning or become a morning person. Anyways, I hope that helps or is helpful. So next time you have like a really strong belief of something that you are or something that you're not, question it and think, like, why do I have this belief? Why do I think I'm not a morning person, right? Analyze it. And I think that will open up more and better opportunities for us to have a better lifestyle, better habits, and I don't know, grow as a person. All right, so here's the last thing I want to share as far as parenting, living happily, figuring everything out, right? Now, me speaking about it, it sounds like I got everything figured out and it's great. And a lot of times when we watch videos or we hear people talk, everybody's like talking about the best and the positive. But I want to be super real with you guys. I'm still having a hard time with certain things when it comes to like being a parent. It is okay and it is normal. I think the main thing we want to do is try to find better solutions and not be so hard on ourselves. And everybody has such a different journey. But one advice that I would say that makes it more fun and makes it less difficult when we're going through hard times is really seeking help. If it's trying to learn more about it, asking friends, there's support groups. Like, I just feel like a lot of times we are not open to finding different solutions, and that's what holds us back. And then we see other people online or when they're talking about it, everything seems together and fine, and then we feel even worse about ourselves because we're like, oh, what am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? And another last reminder is everybody's on a different path. Everybody's on a different journey. We all have different lives. We have all different paths. There's no single person who's exactly the same. So don't try to be like me or the next person or anybody else that you look up to. Really, like, find the things that work for you. There's no perfect way of parenting. If your kid is sleeping in your bed or sleeping on the floor or sleeping in the living room in a stroller, like, whatever solution was working for you, figure it out, and that's fine. Like, don't be so hard on yourself, because I also know a lot of parents, and at some points, like, I was really hard on myself too with certain things. I wanted things to be like perfect, right? But sometimes it can't be, and when we focus so hard on making everything perfect, it almost adds this extra stress, and it's not worth it. But if we let go and we say, okay, that's okay, like, today my kid's gonna look like a slob, is gonna be in its PJs all day with chocolate on the side of his face, that's okay, let it be. It's better to just let go and let that be that way compared to stressing so hard and fighting with your kid to either change or wash or clean up or whatever it may be, right? So I think my key thing is to, again, we're all on different paths, and if right now you're in your mom era or you're in your parent era and your business life or your work life or your social life or even the way you feel and look physically is not exactly where you want it to be, that's okay. Like, enjoy the ride of being in your new parent era and slowly work towards like those different areas. I think everybody kind of wants to have everything together all the time. And again, the stress of that almost makes things worse. So sometimes it's okay to slow down. And that's what I had to do too, honestly. So I'm a person who, like I said, I like balance. I like to have everything like good and in a good place. But I had to slow down my business and my work life and my kind of aspirations to grow in like that space in order to slow down and get ready for this third baby or even be a parent. And I think until I fully accepted that it's okay, like this is just like, it's almost like this era or it's this stage of my life right now to focus on that, I might as well enjoy it with my young kids. And then when I can, then I'll grow my business again or more, or I'll focus on these different goals that I have. I think until I fully accepted that, I wasn't able to get into that optimal, happy-go-lucky state again. And like I said, everything is also temporary. We also have we don't know how much time we have on this world. And I just recently got a reminder from my husband's mom. Honestly, she had a heart attack. And with that one split second, thank God she's okay. There was no serious side effects. They did what they needed to do. And she's like recovering. Everything's fine. But before we knew that, my world turned upside down and it really like hit me. Literally, I'm in this happy-go-lucky like life again, finally, to where I feel like I have a good control over things. But within a split second, like everything can change. So that was like a good reminder too, that just live for the now, for the present, enjoy everything that you can, because things could definitely be different or worse or within split of a second. So stop worrying. We don't know what's going to happen in the future and the past is already done. So let's just make the best of the present and of the now. And I think again, with meditation, that's like a huge thing of being present. And that's what has helped me like live that way or realize that now. Like all we have is this moment that we can do what we can do and do our best. Nothing's going to change if we worry about the future. So right now, if I sit down and my current thing is if I worry, oh, what if I don't have enough money 2 years from now because of my lifestyle or because I'm not focusing on X, Y, and Z, it's not going to change anything in the future. Anyways, I think I went on so many tangents talking about life and getting deep with you guys with the mere question of what am I doing to prepare for baby number 3. But I think our whole life is really a journey and a preparation. If I didn't talk about everything else, it wouldn't make sense that I'm doing nothing physically to prepare for this baby. But I definitely, this is a reminder, since I am getting close, I don't want to wait too long to get stressed. I'm going to make a to-do list for myself and at least do, the very essentials, have like the onesies and the swaddles ready for the new baby in its room. But we definitely have the room nursery left over from my other kid that's kind of gender neutral. And I just need to like wash and prepare some of the clothes and pack my hospital bag. So that's probably what I'll be doing tonight just to get it out of the way. But anyways, long story of what I'm doing to prepare for the baby, but I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I said, if you guys want to keep up behind the scenes, I'm going to try to let everybody in on my life again. I used to be really good at that and it was fun with my beauty business. And I think this year, since I was trying to get back to my like that optimal state and I had so much on my plate with parenting and business, social media wasn't super on top of my list. So I kind of let that part of it go. But now, after my finale journey to get to that optimal state, which was my crazy flip of a coin vacation, which you guys can watch the previous episode about that, I feel like I'm ready. I'm ready to add another thing onto my plate. But that might change with a new baby. So anyways, go follow the Yegi Project TikTok. I'll see you guys there. Hope to speak to you soon. Bye. Thank you for listening. Please rate and review this podcast. Follow and engage with us on social media under the Yegi Project. And if you're interested in being a guest, email info@theyegiproject.com, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.